The courtroom was supposed to be silent, respectful, predictable. But everything changed the moment the frail old woman entered. Her hands trembled as she gripped her cane. Her steps were slow, careful, almost fragile. Nobody in the room expected anything extraordinary from her. Not the guards. Not the lawyers. And certainly not the presiding judge, who leaned back in his chair with a mocking smile. "Ma'am," he said loudly, enough for the gallery to hear. "Veterans in this court usually provide their service details. Do you, by any chance, remember your call sign?" A few people chuckled under their breath. It was supposed to be a harmless joke. A moment of humor at the expense of a tired, elderly woman. But then, the old woman lifted her head. Her eyes sharpened. Her back straightened like a soldier standing at attention. And with a voice that carried the weight of history, blood, sacrifice, and legend, she answered, "Red River." The judge's smile vanished. A cold silence fell. Because every soldier, every officer, and every historian who knew that name also knew what it meant. If Red River was in the room, everyone else needed to rise. And this is the story the world never knew. Until today. It had been years since Martha Hale, known once by a name whispered across war zones, had stepped inside a courtroom. Her bones ached. Her breath carried the heaviness of age. But her purpose was clear: she was here to fight for her grandson. Daniel Hale. 23 years old. Wrongfully accused of a crime he didn't commit. Martha had buried a husband, 2 brothers, and nearly herself on foreign soil, but she wasn't going to bury her grandson in a prison cell. The world saw her as a widow who lived in a quiet wooden house at the edge of town. They didn't know the woman who once crawled through mud with bleeding palms. The woman who dragged injured men twice her size out of bullet storms. The woman whose voice on the radio could calm entire battalions. But today, all the judge saw was an old lady with cloudy eyes and slow steps. She entered the courtroom alone. No lawyer at her side, because she couldn't afford one. No family beside her, because she was the last alive who still carried the Hale blood. As she took her seat, people whispered, "Why is she even here? She can barely walk. Poor woman, her grandson's doomed." Martha ignored every voice. She had fought wars before. She would fight this one too. The judge looked down at her case file with irritation. "This is a serious court, Mrs. Hale. Do you understand the procedures?" "Yes, Your Honor," she replied calmly. But the judge smirked. "And do you claim to be a veteran? It states here you served during the northern border conflict. How many days did you last?" "1 week." A few people laughed. Martha lifted her chin, not angrily, not defensively, but with the quiet confidence of someone who had faced real danger. "I served," she said simply. The judge leaned forward, mocking. "And what was your call sign, ma'am? If you even remember." He expected her to forget. He expected her to stutter. He expected another laugh from the courtroom. Instead, she straightened her back. Her voice deepened. Her eyes turned sharp. And she spoke 2 words that froze the courtroom air. "Red River." The judge called for a short recess, but everyone could see he wasn't doing it for procedure. He needed time to steady himself. Martha didn't move from her seat. She sat quietly, staring at the empty wooden table where her grandson should have been sitting beside her. Daniel Hale. Bright-eyed, kind-hearted, always fixing neighbors' broken radios and old machines. But kindness was a dangerous trait in a cruel world. A wealthy businessman had tried buying a piece of land near Martha's home. Martha refused. That land held her memories, her husband's grave, her garden, and the cedar tree her brothers planted before they went off to war. The businessman didn't like being told no. 2 weeks later, Daniel was arrested on charges of theft and vandalism at the businessman's factory. Fake evidence. Paid witnesses. A system that bent for the powerful. Martha had seen dictators before. They didn't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wore expensive suits and controlled people through fear instead of bullets. She remembered the night the police dragged Daniel away. "Grandma, don't fight them," he had yelled as they pushed him into the vehicle. "Stay inside." But she stood in the rain as the headlights splashed past her, whispering to herself. "I've already lived my life. Now I'll give the rest of it for you." She spent every coin she had, every favor owed, every sleepless night gathering documents, statements, and truth. Most people ignored her. Some called her crazy. But Martha Hale never broke. She had survived war. It would take more than lies to destroy her. When the recess ended and the judge returned, the room felt heavier. As if every eye had turned from mocking her, to fearing her. "Mrs. Hale," the judge began slowly. "You claim your grandson is innocent. Do you have proof?" She lifted a worn leather folder. Not just papers. Evidence she had collected with the same precision she once used to gather coordinates on enemy terrain. The courtroom leaned in as she opened it. And the war began. Martha rose to her feet. She didn't look like a frail elderly woman anymore, she looked like a commander delivering orders. "This," she said, holding up the first photograph, "is the factory on the night of the incident. The power was out due to a storm. That means the security cameras the prosecution used as evidence." She placed a second image on the table. "Could not have recorded anything. They were offline." The prosecutor stiffened. "But we have timestamps." "Forged," she said calmly. "I compared the files to public grid outage records. They don't match." Murmurs filled the hallway. Next, she placed down recorded voice notes. "This is your star witness, Mr. Connors. Here he claims he saw Daniel enter the factory, but here," she switched to the next file, "is the same man confessing, drunk, to being paid by the businessmen." The prosecutor opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The judge shifted uncomfortably. Martha wasn't done. She reached into her bag and pulled out one last sheet, a maintenance report. The machine Daniel allegedly vandalized was already broken. This report is dated 2 days before the incident. The businessman lied. She looked up, eyes burning with the fire of a woman refusing to lose her last family. "My grandson is innocent. This case is a weapon used by a powerful man to punish us for refusing to bow." She placed her cane down. And spoke like the soldier she once was. "I know the battlefield when I see one. This court has been turned into one. And I'm here to reclaim it." For a moment. A long, trembling moment. Nobody spoke. Then a retired soldier in the back row stood up. A second followed. Then a third. Until the entire row was standing. Heads bowed. Honoring the legend who had once saved them with nothing but courage. The judge exhaled shakily. "Mrs. Hale. Please continue." He wasn't giving permission. He was asking. In the days that followed, the courtroom transformed from a quiet legal chamber into a battleground of truth. Martha came every morning, walking slowly but standing tall. Reporters gathered outside. Veterans began attending in support. And the businessman, once arrogant, now sweated through every session. More evidence surfaced. Employees who had been threatened. Messages proving the businessmen wanted the land. A whistleblower who finally came forward after seeing Red River on the news. Everything Martha had fought to achieve through war. Courage, honesty, loyalty. Began guiding strangers toward justice. On the 4th day, Daniel was brought into the room for the first time since his arrest. His eyes widened as he saw his grandmother standing proudly, defending him like a shield. "Grandma," he whispered, choking up. She smiled. "I told you," she whispered back. "I never leave my own behind." When she returned to the stand, her voice cracked slightly, but her spirit didn't.